Hello, everybody. Eric here with the weekly wrap up for November 17th through the 23rd, 2024. And let's see, what did I do this past week? Well, as far as my channel goes, I posted reviews for The Better to. Let me check. What is this called? The Better to Eat You With by Wesley Southard. I almost said The Better to See You With. Better to Eat You With by Wesley Southard, a collection of three long fictions, two previously released and one brand new to this collection. So that review went up, and then my review for Doctor Sleep by Stephen King, which was the first of five books that I read that were all made into movies. So you've got the next four coming out as reviews over the next couple of weeks. And I don't need to go into what those were. And then reading remembrances for November 2004. Those are the three videos, other than the weekly wrap up, that went up last week, or this past week. This week, it's Saturday when I'm recording this. So, I did some reading of other books, and this is what I read. And I haven't recorded the reviews for these yet. That'll be coming up when I finish this video. But I read I Believe in Mr. Bones by Max Booth III, with a great cover there. And then I read What If Mark Spector Was Host to Venom? With another wild cover. I'm digging that. Just a little Venom there on the back. This is the third book in a series of What If books, and apparently there's more coming out next year. And after that, I read The Bucket List by Mark Taus. I don't know how you say his last name, and Kisto Healy. This is just a slim little book, and I'm not going to say anything about these because I'm recording reviews, and you'll have to watch those. And then I started something else. I'm currently reading something. We'll get to that in a moment. My birthday is coming up this week as you're watching this video. If you watch it the day it comes out, this week, my birthday is coming up, so I treated myself to a book, which is what I am currently reading. But after I finished The Bucket List, I had to wait for this book to arrive, and so I decided to read some comics. I'm still 2 years behind on my comic book reading. I got a 3-foot stack of comics. So I read, well, to be fair, by the end of tonight, as of this recording, I will have read 51 comic books in the past few days. So, yeah, some good stuff there. Some superhero stuff. Moon Knight, mainly in the superhero thing. A lot of horror comic books. A lot of Cullen Bunn comic books. Some really good Cullen Bunn comic books. And some other things. But finishing up some mini-series. Started some mini-series. Moon Knight might be the only ongoing that's currently in the mix. But yeah, a bunch of comic books. But then the book I was waiting for came in. The reason I'm sort of building up to it is because this is going to lead into a sort of a mini rant. You're going to see my face turn red. I'm going to scream and shout in anger. I'm so furious. Can't you tell? So the book I'm currently reading is Red Sonja Consumed by Gail Simone. And I think this is one of the most boring covers on a book. My sister thinks it's a very nice looking cover. I think it is so incredibly generic. And I think, here's the rant, modern fantasy and science fiction from the big publishers, or even the mini publishers, this is from Orbit, are putting out terrible generic covers. Now, I have the 6, I believe, original Red Sonja novels from, let's check, the 80s. This is the cover of book number 2. Not the most exciting. I mean, she's not in the middle of a battle. But I liked the colors on this one. That's why I picked this out of the 6. But at least there's something going on. We have the character. We have something happening. We've got color. This is probably a Boris painting. Yeah, Boris Vallejo. The Red Sonja covers, fantastic. Old Conan covers, the Frazettas, the Boris Vallejos, other artists I can't think of off the top of my head, but I should know them. Hildebrandt maybe did some. Just wonderful covers. Dynamic covers. Nowadays we're getting this. This could be a Joe Abercrombie cover. All his covers are this sort of generic look. Horror novels from the big publishers, generally a little bland. Some of them better than this, but even Stephen King's last one, You Like It Darker, it was fine. It was just an island that looked like an alligator. For the American version that I have, I think the European, I don't know if it's just the British or the UK version, or if it's European, a larger thing, had a set of chairs with some shadows of 2 kids, I believe. A little bit better, but still rather generic. Even Holly, just a house with 1 or 2 people standing in a lighted window. When I was rebuilding my Stephen King collection, I made it a point to get the old paperback copies, because so many of the newer editions are just, the covers are so bland. Now, small presses, especially in horror, you're getting some amazing covers. The Justin T. Coons covers, the Lynn Hansen covers, Keelan Patrick Burke covers, others, again, that I can't think of. There's some fantastic covers. Tor Nightfire. I'm looking at my Tor Nightfire stack right here. It's a mixed bag. Some of the covers are really cool. Some of them a little generic. But why? I assume it's a marketing thing. I assume this, they think, is going to pull in more people with its genericness than something like this. Maybe this is considered too trashy. They're looking for a more high-class clientele. Maybe they're hoping people that aren't that familiar with Red Sonja will be intrigued. Oh, what is this? It's a fantasy novel. I see a sword. I see some red hair. What could it be? Whereas this, they might look at it and go, oh, it's just some trashy sword and sorcery book. I don't know. Even back in the day, leisure paperback covers straddled the line of fine or okay to boring. Very few exceptions. Where are the zebra covers? Where are those outside of the small press? Where are those outrageous covers that grab your eye and pull you in and make you go, what the hell is going on in this book? I don't know. I don't have the answers. All I know is, love these covers. This cover bores the hell out of me. I'm not that far into the book. I'm enjoying it very much so far. But if I didn't know this was Red Sonja, if I just saw this cover, I'd have absolutely no interest in this book. None whatsoever. So that's the end of my rant. I apologize. I don't like that people have seen me fly off the handle like that. But I don't know. I was looking at the Red Rising trilogy covers. My nephew has read, I know he's read the first one, and I think he's read the second one. But it's a science fiction It's one of those, it falls into that category where everybody is categorized. Excuse me just a moment. That rant has me a little dry. So everybody in Red Rising is assigned a color, or is a color, not like physically, and that determines what you do in life and your status in life. And my nephew has enjoyed them, and they're popular, but the covers are, again, so generic. Red Rising, I believe it just has a close up of a red, like a bird wing. And then the second one is maybe just this gold semicircle. And then I don't remember what the third one is. The second one is that. The third one, I don't know. Incredibly generic. Even like the latest editions of Asimov's books, especially the Foundation series, incredibly generic. They tell you nothing about what you're going to find inside. Yeah, you read the back cover copy, but I want that cover to grab me, pull me in right off the bat. But again, I assume it's a marketing thing, and they want to appeal to the greatest audience possible, or not offend anybody in any way. I don't know, but I guess that's what it is. I don't know. All right, that's the end of that rant. So anyway, I don't know. It just, that cover made me want to talk about this. Oddly enough, this book is from Random House, and I think that's a decent cover. But it is a comic book novel. Maybe that makes a difference, but that's a fantasy novel. But that cover's not too bad. And that's from like I said, that's from a big publisher. All right. So that's what I've read. I Believe in Mr. Bones. What If Mark Spector was the host of Venom? Bucket List. And now I'm currently reading Red Sonja Consumed. That was a roundabout way to get to all of that. Now, I believe, no, before I get into this part, talked about reading all the comics, didn't go into any detail. If you want to know, like, any standout comics, what I actually read, what stood out the most, you can ask me about that down in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer. I don't recall watching anything, aside from the TV was on, and YouTube stuff. I always watch Happy Goat horror videos and Criminale, and a lot of the Dice Throne, which is a board game channel. So I watch board game reviews, not so much for the review part, but for what the game is. How does the game play? It might look really cool on the box. It might have an interesting description on the back. It doesn't mean it's going to be an interesting game to play. So I'd like to see, this is how you play the game. Oh, that looks like it's fun. So I watch a lot of the Dice Tower, a lot of board game videos, a few videos with political stuff, usually comedy takes on it, like last week tonight, right? The John Oliver show. Terrible. Last week tonight, and some stuff from clips from the Daily Show, that kind of stuff. But I don't recall watching any. I don't think I watched any movies or any TV shows. So, now, once I finish with Red Sonja Consumed, I believe I'm going to jump into the next book bundle, because I still don't have a better title for what it is I'm doing. And this time we're going from books that were made into movies into novelizations. So I've picked 5 books, 5 novelizations of movies, ranging from some older stuff to some brand new stuff. And I'm going to show you what they are. Now, I don't know the order that I'm going to read them in. This is just the order that I have them here by size in the stack. So, these are the 5 that I have chosen. If anybody has suggestions, and I think these are all horror. Yes, they are. I do have some that aren't horror. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about doing Clash of the Titans because I have that novelization. I have Last Starfighter, but these are the ones I picked out. I don't want to go crazy, so I have 5. But who knows? Who knows what could happen? But this is the plan. So again, this isn't necessarily the order I'm going to read them in. I just have them stacked from the largest on the bottom, smallest on the top. So first up, we have Squirm by Richard Curtis. Squirm, the novelization. Killer Worms. This is from Encyclopocalypse, the new king of movie novelizations. They already have some more that I have a bunch of them. Don't have all of them because not all the movies interest me. But there's already at least, I think, another 2 or 3 that have come out that I don't have yet that I'd like to get. But Squirm, again, Killer Worms. If you're a regular viewer, you know how much I love killer animals. And then this is the newest one. It's the newest movie. It's the newest book on this list. I actually just received the sequel novelization for this today. But this is X by Tim Waggoner. Of course, based on the Ty West movie. And so I just got Pearl. I guess the prequel book. Novelization of the prequel movie. I just got Pearl in the mail today. These are published by A24. And I love the movie. I love the entire trilogy. And I like Tim Waggoner. He's got tons of original stuff, tons of media tie-ins, and now a lot of novelizations. He has another one that probably would have been part of this pile if I had it, but I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, and that's he did the novelization for Terrifier 2. So I would definitely want to get that and read it at some point. But X by Tim Waggoner. And now, the oldest book, or at least copy of a book that I have here, I don't know if it's the oldest movie. This is Prophecy. And the author here is David Seltzer, who wrote The Omen. And this will actually give me the actual information of no, I do not see like director and that sort of information. Copyright 1979 Paramount Pictures. But it doesn't have like director or any of that stuff. So this is, well, you know what? I'm not going to tell you. If you haven't seen the movie, it's got Talia Shire in it. You should check it out, and you can find out if you're not interested in watching the movie or don't know what it is. You'll find out when I review it. So Prophecy, it's a wild movie, and that's the book. I'm going to read that. There you go. Then we have another one from Encyclopocalypse, and this is Scared to Death, the novelization by Matt Serafini. And this is a movie that is on the Riff Tracks channel in relatively heavy rotation. So I see it / hear it quite often. But with the Riff Tracks commentary over it. So it'll be interesting to actually read the story without having a bunch of jokes going on. And we'll see, if Matt Serafini adds to it, if plus I know that on the Riff Tracks channel, sometimes things are censored, sometimes it's just edited. So it'll be interesting to have not just the full story, but perhaps even more. But Scared to Death is a monster murder mystery story. I mean, we know that there's a monster killing people, but Anyway, scared to death. And then finally, um, because because I'm easily influenced, and earlier today, uh, Kaylee Dobbs of Happy Goat Horror posted a review of an anthology from Flame Tree Publishing. I believe it's Elemental Forces, but it's edited by Mark Morris. And so when I was trying to find a fifth book for this, and I was looking at my Hammer horror film novelizations, one of them is by Mark Morris. So why not pick that one? Vampire Circus by Mark Morris, based on the classic Hammer film. And I've not seen the movie, don't know too much about this story, but I've read Mark Morris before, and I enjoy his writing. So, and fun little cover. It's a vampire circus. Maybe it's not literal. I don't know. Haven't read it. But there we go. Vampire Circus by Mark Morris. So that's the fifth book I have in this book bundle of movie novelizations. So that's what I'm going to be reading after I finish Red Sonja Consumed. And I think that's all that I have. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. I didn't watch anything. Didn't play. I've just played the usual board games. Nothing new, nothing fancy. I am going to treat myself to a birthday board game. A deck building game. Deck building is my favorite mechanism in games. And I've mentioned this before again, but maybe someone's watching this that hasn't heard this. In deck building, essentially every player starts out with the same small deck of cards. I'll use DC deck building, my favorite one, as an example. Everybody starts out with 7 punch cards and 3 vulnerability cards. Vulnerabilities, worthless. They clog up your deck. Punches, each one gives you +1 power. There's a deck of like 180 cards. 5 of them come out in a row. You use your power to purchase those cards from the row. They go into your discard pile. Eventually, they're going to get shuffled back into your deck. So you're buying better cards. You're building your deck. And in DC deck building, you have a character that you are, Batman, Superman, dozens and dozens and dozens, depending on which version of the game you're playing, that might focus you. Superman, if you're Superman, you get +1 power for every different superpower card that you play. So when you're building your deck, you might be focusing on superpowers. Batman gets +1 power for each equipment he plays. So he's going to concentrate on getting equipment into his deck. So deck building, my favorite mechanism. There's tons of deck building games. They're essentially that sort of, everybody starts with the same weak cards. There are exceptions. And you're taking, it's not a card collecting game. You're not buying booster packs and making your deck. Within the game itself, you are building your deck from the cards that came with the game. All of this is to say, there's a brand new deck building game. It's based on a property that I have not read, but the game looks really fun, and that's Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I've only read one Brandon Sanderson book, which was a young adult superhero book, Steelheart, part of the Reckoners series. There's a game based on that. But I haven't read Mistborn, which is a fantasy series, but the deck building looks really, really fun. And so on Monday, hopefully on Monday, I'm going to go to my local comic book store, and I believe I get points for my birthday, and I can get a discount on it. Plus, there's a Black Friday sale, so it's going to be really cheap. So I can treat myself to a really cheap card game that looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. That's all. I have nothing else Yeah, I'm still not working. I need to seriously start looking for a job. I've had my eyes open, but I'm receiving unemployment, and I keep waiting to get called back to work. They sent me an email that it's time to um, fill in my thing for uh, the eye doctor, dental, that kind of stuff. Not our full health insurance, but the kind of side stuff. So they sent me an email to do that. So I'm like still on the books at Norlake, but I did talk to somebody that's been still working, and they said that they're still incredibly, incredibly slow. And I don't have that much left on my unemployment. So I'm really going to have to start pushing, I think, to find work. But anyway, for this past few weeks, for this upcoming week, not really going to do too much because it's my birthday week, plus it's Thanksgiving, and we got family coming into town. But I'm going to have to buckle down and find some work. So we'll see how that affects reading and everything else. But that's it. That is my long, rambling weekly wrap up for November 17th through the 23rd, 2024. I don't really have a question for this video. So if you have any comments or questions or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. If there's anything to spoil, just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my show. Please like, share, and subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. If you care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. And that's all I've got for you this week. So until next week, read more books.